Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Dad is in Control podcast. My name is Bryan and I'm the founder of Dad is in Control. So today I wanted to talk about being a dad. It's Sunday right now, and this morning, being Sunday, the kids are home. My wife had told me that she wanted to do some running around and go to the gym this morning, and she reminded me that we had 2 kids coming over for a play date, a third kid that slept over last night. So we're going to have a busy morning, but that's great. So my wife went to the gym, and perfectly on time, the 2 visitors came over and wanted to play. And then another little guy came over from across the street. So I had a total of 7 kids in my house by myself. So after the kids get dropped off, the first thing they do, they come into the house and they look for the video games. They start looking for the Xbox. They start looking for the iPads. They start looking at the TV, and I laughed. Well, although we do have a TV, we don't have video games in my house. So here comes dad rule number 1, the golden rule: create a boundary. So I said to the kids, it's time to go outside and play, guys. So they went outside and they found our big trampoline in the back. And then they were playing on the trampoline and jumping around and throwing balls at each other and playing dodgeball and jumping and playing. It was great. And then they got bored. The snap of a finger, they were bored. They came up front and they wanted to come back in the house. But guess what? The boundary was there. They couldn't come back in the house. Why? Because I said they can't. So they went up front and they started playing army tag and soccer, and they just were playing and having fun. You see, one thing I know about my kids is that they are happier and less moody when they're playing and exerting themselves. If I was to allow them to sit inside and play video games and watch TV all day, then I know their behaviors would be different. Their attitudes would be different. They would lash out. They would treat me differently. So the secret was to get them all outside and jumping around and bouncing, and now, mind you, policing them to make sure that they were playing fairly and playing and not hurting each other. But still, it wasn't a lot of work, and it wasn't all that hard. The illusion that parenthood, that being a dad, is hard and has to be overcomplicated is just all too funny to me. See, it's just a matter to me of creating boundaries and enforcing these boundaries. But you don't have to be stern, and you can play with the kids. I mean, if you truly want to create a happy child, you have to play, you have to engage. So they asked me, can you throw balls at us on the trampoline and play dodgeball? Yeah, I can. In fact, that's one of my favorite things to do with the kids. So we did that a little bit this morning. And then about an hour and 45 minutes later, it's time to come in the house. My wife walks in the door and says, let's make them some snacks. So my wife was in charge of that. My wife headed up and got a little bit of banana bread, some rice cakes, some cheese, some crackers, a little bit of peanut butter, and the kids went nuts. Couple that with water to drink, and they were happy. And that's it. It doesn't have to be complicated. Having any number of kids in the house doesn't have to be overwhelming, as long as you keep a boundary, as long as you engage them, as long as they're expending their energy. The other side of this, dads, and the other side of my perspective is, if your kids see you as the guy that's always on his computer, or always watching TV, or always on his phone playing video games, then they're going to do the same thing. But if they see you as the guy that's always outside, that's picking the weeds, that's washing the car, that's engaging with them, that's playing, that's going for a bike ride, that's taking care of themselves, then they're going to grow up and they're going to have that same perspective. You see, that's what I want to teach my kids. That's what I want them to learn from me. I want them to have imagination, to not depend upon video games or electronics to sedate themselves. Now, we're not perfect in our house, and we do allow the kids to watch TV, and they do get time on the iPad once in a while. But this isn't an everyday occurrence. And when this does occur, it's controlled. That's the secret. Create the boundaries and enforce the boundaries. But you don't have to be a hard ass about it, and it comes much easier if you're not a hard ass about it. So whether you have 5 kids over, 2 kids, 17 kids, the same rules apply, and it doesn't have to be that hard. And that's it, guys. Simple lesson today, right? Thanks for listening to today's podcast. If you do me a huge favor, subscribe to this, head on over to iTunes and rate and review this podcast. It goes a long way for exposure for us so we can teach these lessons to other dads, to other men out there. And as always, if this is a conversation that you want to continue having, if you want to learn more, head on over to dadisincontrol.com, hit the button to join our private Facebook group, and join the conversation. Get in the discussion. And lastly, men, maybe there's an area in your life that's just not going right. Maybe you're in shambles. Maybe you're on the breaking point or in the verge of. Or maybe you just want to level up, but you don't know how. Maybe you've lost yourself. Nonetheless, I can help. I offer customized intensives and coaching. And all you need to do to get ball rolling on this process is to go to dadisincontrol.com/start. Fill out the application. The application says a kick off the couch session application. So what that's going to do, that's going to get you on the phone with me. And from there, we're going to devise a strategy based on your individual needs. And we'll go from there. Why? Because you're worth it. Because you can. So guys, that's it. So until next time, have yourself a great day, and we'll see you on the inside of the group.